I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to be giving you some troubleshooting tips for teaching piano lessons. Sometimes kids just get stuck on a song and they seem to practice it over and over and it just doesn't help. And so there are a lot of ways that you can sort of troubleshoot the song and troubleshoot the student really too, to sort of figure out what's going on with them, that somehow this song just isn't clicking. It's just not coming together somehow. I've already talked in another video about finding patterns in the music, finding places where the music interacts or it intersects, make a connection between those patterns and sort of analyze the music and fit those puzzle pieces together, and that'll help the student to understand the music better and hopefully be able to play it more smoothly. One great thing to do is to divide the music up into smaller sections, especially with intermediate or advanced students. They have really long songs sometimes. To them it seems long if it's just 1 page or 2 pages. So the best thing to do is divide it up to be just one measure. Okay, we're just going to do this measure, and then we're just going to do the next measure. Or you could say we're just going to do this line, okay, and then we're going to do the next line. Or maybe it needs to be, let's only do the first page, and we're going to focus on that, and then we're going to go on and we're going to do the second page after that. But dividing it into smaller sections makes the brain able to take in that information without being overwhelmed. An important thing to look for, sort of a sign to look for with a student if they're having trouble being overwhelmed by the size of a song, is watch their eyes. So if their eyes are wandering all over the page, I can tell immediately they're overwhelmed, they're losing their focus. And with children that have difficulty focusing, sometimes I'll take a piece of paper and I'll cover up half of the song. Okay, we're not even looking at this half. Now we're only looking at this half of the song, and I'll completely cover it up so they can't even see the other part. They are forced to focus on this one thing. One of the little things that I like to talk about sometimes with kids like that they have difficulty focusing on one thing, is I'll say, have you ever seen a horse that wears blinders? They have blinders on, so they have to focus only on what's in front of them, and they can't look around to the sides. And I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put on imaginary blinders so that we have to focus on this one measure. So pretend like you have blinders on, and then let's play this one part. Sometimes having a little imaginary thing like that can make something fun once they've been frustrated with it. You want to make it as fun as you can, so that they don't get overwhelmed by it. Sometimes they might not be overwhelmed necessarily by the size of the song, but by the details of the song. If there's a lot of forte and piano and legato and staccato and ritardando and fermata and accent markings, and they can just get really overwhelmed. There's just too much information in there. So that's why we have our practice plan, where we first just get a foundation, notes and rhythm, and then we add in little details one at a time. But they still might get overwhelmed. So make sure that you're asking the student to do one thing at a time rather than 5 or 6 things at a time. So tell them, all right, let's play through it, and this time we're only going to look for the fortes and the pianos. That's all we're looking for. Ignore the accents, ignore the staccatos. We're looking for this one thing. All right, now let's play it again, and let's add in our staccatos this time. So now we have forte and piano, and now we've added in staccato. Sometimes you just need to back up and slow it down and bring in one thing at a time so that kids don't get overwhelmed with all the stuff. Other kids are able to do 6 things at one time. They'll be like, yeah, throw it in, and they just play it and they're fine and they've got it all. It depends on the song, it depends on the child. There's a lot of factors to put in there, and you just have to use your best judgment. If the difficulty is rhythm, then it can be really helpful to use a metronome. I've had this one for more than 15 years. Steady old metronome. And it has served me well. Then again, the metronome can also actually cause even more problems because kids aren't used to using the metronome. Whenever I start a student out using a metronome, we'll start out either clapping our hands along with the metronome, or we'll tap our feet along with the metronome to sort of get the beat internalized. Something that helped me when I was a kid and I was learning to play with the metronome was I imagined that the tick of the metronome was my heartbeat. And that way it forced me to really listen to it. I was imagining that I had internalized this beat into my own body, into my brain. It was just a little imaginary thing to get me to focus on staying with the metronome. Sometimes the difficulty with the song may not be the song at all. It might just be that the kid is having trouble focusing on what they're doing, and they've been sitting there for 30 minutes and they're just tired out. They've been in school all day and now they're sitting down and you're trying to ask them to learn even more stuff. It's just too much for some little kids. So sometimes I'll just stop in the middle of the lesson and I'll say, let's do 5 jumping jacks, and then I'm going to ask you a musical trivia question. And I'll just ask them, you know, what's a treble clef or what's a quarter note or something like that. And then we'll do 5 more jumping jacks. And then I'll ask them, you know, what's a quarter rest? Things like that. So they think that's just the most fun thing in the world. I'm doing jumping jacks in the middle of piano. They just think it's crazy. But especially with little kids, it helps them to get the wiggles out. It gets their blood pumping. And of course, all that lovely blood is going to their brain. And that's going to help them learn more. Those are some of the troubleshooting ideas that I've used for my students and even for myself when I've had difficulty with a song. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.